Donald Trump made some statement like, forget the Constitution or whatever. And of course, people take him literally like, oh my God, what he's saying, what's he saying? But he was making a point, and in typical fashion, he made his point in a way that might bother some people.
Wow. This is a guy named Eric Metaxas. He is a far-right extremist, a Christian nationalist, and a Trump stan. Will do anything for the guy, up to and including defending the fact that Donald Trump called for parts of the Constitution to be terminated to instate him as president against the will of the people. They will defend anything at this point, won't they? Seriously. This clip, by the by, is only from like a couple of... I think this clip is from like early December 2022, something like that. Donald Trump openly calls for the Constitution to be terminated to reinstate him as president. That's what this whole thing is all about. And bizarrely, people are coming out of the woodwork defending the dude on this point. Seriously.
Because they don't know how to read him or something. But let's
blame the other people. Yeah. Donald Trump calls for the Constitution to be terminated, and it's everyone else's fault that's reading it. Right.
Because they don't know how to read him or something. But let's talk about what he was talking about and why we agree that he shouldn't have said it that way, but why we're not as troubled as some people who think that he thinks we should throw away the Constitution, because obviously he doesn't. But
yes, he does. What does he need to say to make it clear to you that that's what he wants to do? That is what he said. Those are the words he said. He said, basically, I don't even remember. I'm paraphrasing. We need to throw out the Constitution and make me president. That's basically what he said. How are these mental gymnastics working with this guy? This is blowing me away right now. And by the by, he's got a little buddy right here, Jenna Ellis. She was on Trump's law team for a while, I believe. When he was in the White House. That's where she got famous, basically.
He was being a little hyperbolic, but let's talk about
Donald Trump hyperbolic. Imagine
what?
That.
Get
right?
out of here.
So to set this up, though, I obviously know and respect Donald Trump personally. I've worked for him. Everyone knows that. And so I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump loves and respects the Constitution.
No, he does not. In any way. It's so clear to literally everybody that Donald Trump would throw it away in a second if it meant becoming president again. That's literally what he said. That's not respect or love for the Constitution.
More than almost anyone that I know.
They're just completely made up. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I got a voicemail about it from somebody. Check this voicemail out somebody left me the other day.
Hi, I'm River from Michigan, he and pronouns. I just wanted to, know your thoughts, because I saw a singular headline about how Trump wanted to abolish the Constitution, and no one else is talking about it, and I know it's, on brand again, but I don't know.
Yeah, the voicemail got cut off there. I appreciate the voicemail. It was really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I heard a few people talking about it myself. Maybe it did not get as much attention as it deserved, though, because a political candidate calling for the abolition of the Constitution, or at least parts of the Constitution, is ridiculous on so many levels. I don't know how these people are working themselves into these mental gymnastics anymore. And why? To what end? Why are they still defending the guy? He's not even president anymore. Just move past him, seriously. It kills me that people like Jenna Ellis and Eric Metaxas are sitting here defending Trump of all people, like he reflects the Christian nationalist beliefs that they hold. He doesn't. Just blows me away, man.
Hey, this is Chaim from New York. I was wondering if you watched the Netflix series Unorthodox, and whether you think the Jewish community depicted in the show fits the bite model of a cult. Thanks.
I appreciate that. I have not seen that. Unorthodox, I think it was called. I haven't heard of that. But I do live in New York City, and there are some really, really hardcore groups in the area, particularly in Brooklyn, that are in their own insular communities that other people don't go into and that they aren't really allowed to leave. They heavily shun people who don't want to be a part of that lifestyle anymore. They shun technology in many ways. They have their own schools set up, and they reject the LGBT community and things like that. Very, very deeply harmful belief system or group specifically. It's this group that's a real problem. I would say that there are most definitely Jewish cults out there without a shadow of a doubt. Is that most Jewish people? No, not even close. Matter of fact, I would say the vast majority of Jewish people are chill and, largely aren't even religious. It's more like secular Jewish people by and large. So yeah, there are definitely Jewish cults out there, but they're very, very uncommon. They only really exist in Israel and in New York City, the two highest concentrations of Jewish communities in the world. So anyway, yeah, I'll have to give it a watch. It sounds interesting. Thanks for the voicemail. I call out cults wherever they are, whoever is running them. I don't care. It's wrong either way. Propagandizing is wrong. Controlling people's lives is wrong. Full stop. I don't care if they're Jewish. I don't care if they're Christian or whatever, Scientologists or whatever other brand of nonsense they believe in. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah.
This is Amos from Kansas City. I was wanting to say I love your stuff, but I do wish you would make a decision on your swearing. You, I guess Yoda would say, swear or don't swear, there's no beep. I personally like the swearing. It kind of makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd, but it just seems like you're a little inconsistent on whether you're going to beep something out or not. So, but just a personal preference. I hope that other people share the preference. But anyway, love your stuff. Have a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. Interesting thing that you mentioned, because earlier when I was talking to other people, I decided to run what would you call, like a poll to find out what people thought about this hard-hitting issue. I just wanted to know if people think that I should swear, should just embrace it, or if I should give it up, or what. And here are the results. Should I swear in my videos or no? Yes, whenever, got 71.7% or 89 votes. Only in live streams, cut it out of the videos, 27.4% or 34 votes. No, I should never swear, got 0.8% of the votes, or 1 vote. Most people think that I should swear, should just do it in moderation or whatever. I was not swearing for a while because I wanted to be as uncontroversial to YouTube as humanly possible, because they kept hitting me with like hate speech strikes and stuff. So I stopped swearing entirely for a while. The hate speech strikes stopped, and YouTube also changed their policy to be more lenient about swearing, so I kind of picked up swearing a little bit more. But I would rather not swear generally, because there are children that watch my show, and there are parents that watch it with their children and stuff, and I don't want to put them in an uncomfortable situation if I can avoid it. So I usually try to not swear if possible. Also, if I give an impassioned speech about something and I say a swear in it, critics will and have accused me of giving a profanity-laden speech on something. They discredit everything I say because I said a swear. Now, they're probably going to discredit everything anyways, but I don't want to give them extra ammunition. So generally, I try to avoid swearing unless it's like an important issue that I feel needs that extra layer of emphasis. So anyway, thank you so much for the voicemail. I do appreciate that.
Hi, Owen. My name is Parker. I'm from Missouri. I tried to send this once already, but I think it was too long. So just to reiterate, I go to a small religious private school that has strict anti-LGBT plus policies, and I know that they've kicked out queer students before. Is that legal? Like, wouldn't that be discrimination? I was just wondering what you know about that. I love your content. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. As it happens, my wife is going to law school right now, and I've been following along a little bit with some of the things that she's been learning, mostly through the things that she tells me. I've been following a little bit of that and learning more about it as the subjects come up. As far as I can tell, there are constitutional protections for protected classes, right? You cannot discriminate against somebody based on gender or race or, you know, any number of other qualities or religion, things like that. However, there are exceptions to this rule for religious-based institutions. They fall into a special category And in those cases, you are allowed to hire, say, only Christians or only Muslims or whatever. There is a loophole in the law that allows people to discriminate against others if the institution is based in a certain something or other. So the answer is basically it would depend on the business structure that they set up when they started the school or the organization or whatever it is. If it's a private school, if they set it up as like a religious institution or something like that, they probably have those protections. But it may be worth looking into anyways. You could just do a business search on their Secretary of State's website. Like if it's in, I don't know, West Virginia or Minnesota or something, just Google like Minnesota Secretary of State business search, and you can look up what type of company it is from there. So anyway, thank you for the voicemail. I appreciate that.
Hello, Owen. This is Jasper from Massachusetts. I wanted to know, do you think that in our lifetime we're going to see a Stochastic terrorism law be passed?
It's a little quiet, so let me repeat. Do I think in our lifetime we're going to see a stochastic terrorism law being passed? If you're unfamiliar with stochastic terrorism, for anybody listening, most people probably know, but just in case you don't, stochastic terrorism is basically naming people, doxing them, pointing a finger directly at them, and getting a crowd whipped into a blood frenzy over it, and letting whatever happens next happen. We can see an example of this with Matt Walsh and Boston Children's Hospital. Also, Libs of TikTok did this with Boston Children's Hospital, I believe. From my understanding, the wave of hate has not calmed down against Boston Children's Hospital. In fact, it's getting worse for them at this immediate moment. They are the targets of stochastic terrorism. Random people are calling in bomb threats and things like that, all because Matt Walsh and Libs of TikTok and others claimed that Boston Children's Hospital is doing gender-affirming surgeries on children, which is not true. They're not. They never did. It's just completely made up, fabricated outrage against a hospital that actually does a lot of good for a lot of people. That is an example of stochastic terrorism. You are leveling a chilling effect against everybody that you possibly can that you hate, to scare them out of using their own freedom of speech. That's basically what it is. So the question was, will we ever see a stochastic terrorism bill passed in our lifetimes to protect people from stochastic terrorism?
Terrorism law be passed? Like something hindering stochastic terrorism, or like making it a civil or criminal offense? Just wanted to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. The answer is I don't think so. Not in our lifetimes. Now, there was a point in U.S. history, not even that long ago, where free speech laws were much, much, much more relaxed, where you could throw somebody in jail, or more accurately, the government could throw somebody in jail for, say, protesting the war. They don't like that the war is going on. They don't like World War I is happening. They don't like World War II is going on. They'll throw you in jail for 10 years if you speak out against it. The U.S. actually has a really terrible history of terribly abusing people for the things that they said. Not to mention McCarthyism, directly attacking people, jailing them, persecuting them for being communist when they weren't even communist in the first place a lot of the time. Yeah, the U.S. has a terrible history of upholding freedom of speech. Now we've moved in the opposite direction where it's entirely too free. Stochastic terrorism should be at least a suable offense. I wouldn't be opposed to stochastic terrorism like Libs of TikTok does, pointing a finger at somebody specific like Boston Children's Hospital and inspiring bomb threats against them. I wouldn't be opposed to Libs of TikTok being charged with a crime for that. I think that would be fantastic, personally. Now, I don't want to go back to an era of McCarthyism. I don't want to go back to an era of jailing people for protesting against wars or any of that stuff. But we are entirely too free with it right now. There is a line, and we are way on the wrong side of it right now. Seems to me.
Hi, this is Matthew. Was it date? December 9th, 2022. I just wanted to ask, what do you think of socialism, if you have any opinions or not? All right, bye.
Interesting question. Socialism is actually not what most people think. You know, I have looked into starting a nonprofit organization. It's very complicated. I intend to, but I can't do it yet. I have to wait to actually start it until, other things are in order in my life. But a nonprofit organization works very differently from a publicly traded or a privately owned organization. Basically, you start out with a board. Now, somebody can start this organization, but they aren't the owners past that point. The board is elected by the people under it or other board members. There is a union basically baked right into it, and everybody votes on everything all the way up the chain. That's how a nonprofit organization works generally. And that is what socialism is, really. Socialism is where every company is changed from a private entity into a nonprofit type of structure like that, where there's a board that all votes on all decisions that are made, and the employees all vote on things, and there's a union baked into it and everything else. And there is no private owner that takes control. It's worker owned rather than private ownership or state owned, like would be the case with communism. It's just kind of a different way of running companies generally. That's really what socialism is. We have those in the U.S. now. They're called worker co-ops. You can set things up as worker co-ops. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't think I really have a strong opinion. I would like to just bake unions right into corporations from the start. That would be nice. But I don't think I have any opposition to private ownership necessarily. I'm okay with private ownership for the most part. We need to strengthen social safety nets. We need to strengthen unions. And yeah, I would be happy if we could do those things. Strengthen social safety nets and unions. And I'd be good with that. We don't need to go full socialist. Willing to be convinced otherwise, but that's my current position. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. You know the sad thing, not to get you guys down or whatever, but this thought crossed my mind a while back. There are like regulars that come around a lot, fans that I've had for a while. Falconis and Hellbound Hillbilly I've seen a few times. Super Nerd, Robert Adset. I see them around all the time, And I'm 100% sure that there are fans that just kind of stopped coming around. And, that happens a lot. There are a lot of fans that hang out a lot and then they move on and find other interests. But I'm sure that there are at least some who died of COVID, and I had no idea. They just stopped coming around, and it's because they died of COVID. And I'll never know, and I'll never hear from them again. It's really, really sad. Sorry to get you guys down. I was just thinking about it and how sad it was.